Polly, there is a vaccine for the pandemic. Is there a vaccine for change and uncertainty that leaders can manage to harness?
I wish it was as easy as getting a shot in the arm. But I will say, I think the pandemic and the multiplex of challenges that we've all sort of been through and are collectively facing, and leaders are really on the front lines of the coal face of right now, might be making inoculation a little bit easier. And what do I mean by that? So we are living in massive, unprecedented, sort of relentless, multifaceted, sometimes like completely shocking and surprising environment of change and uncertainty. And very often what that does is it sort of disrupts and dislocates and causes a lot of fear and clamping down and narrowing of perspective. That's a natural human neurobiological response to everything that's going on in the environment. But I think the inoculation is sort of twofold, and it has a lot to do with leadership and organizational perspective. And the first piece of this is this, again, going back to this sort of fundamental belief in, trust in, value of human potential and human goodness and human capacity, and this notion of how do we actually design work, create organizations, create platforms, create mechanisms through which we can develop that, unleash that, reward that. Now, this may seem really familiar to you because I've been talking about this stuff for the last couple of decades, but I think we're really hitting the urgency around a real creativity and openness around how do we redesign all of these mechanisms of work and organizations. And what you're really going for here is creating an organization, creating organizational capacity for perpetual evolution, for perpetual innovation. And a mindset that I've seen that's very productive here, and you've seen this in the microcosm of people announcing their sort of post-pandemic working policies. And where it's been really productive is when you hear leaders saying, you know, these are the CEOs, CXOs who are supposed to have all the answers. And what they do is they very publicly, very transparently, not just to their employees, but to the world say, hey, this is an unfolding, evolving situation. We're learning every single day. We don't know the answers. What this looks like 6 months out, 1 year out, 2 years out may be very different than what we know today, but we are aggressively and actively interrogating the situation, learning from you. And the principles that we are going to go by are, number one, we understand that you are human beings with full lives and a whole complex of needs. And it's our responsibility to support you as that, number one. Number two, a flexibility, not just in terms of working from home and work arrangements, but a flexibility of mind in terms of what solution works for what population at what point is going to continue to prevail as we continue to experiment and try new things. And when I've seen that, you see a lot more engagement, you see a lot more goodwill that is engendered rather than, hey, this is our policy, let's get back to work.